I have replayed that night in my head maybe 1,000 times. The exact moment, the sound, the silence that came after. And every single time, I stop at the same part, the part where I looked up and saw her standing there. Because that's where everything changed. Not just between me and her. Everything. I've never spoken about this out loud. Not to anyone. But I think it's time. Because keeping it inside hasn't made it smaller. It's just made it heavier. So here it is. My name is Alicia. And this is the night my daughter Elena saw something she was never supposed to see. You need to understand something about our life before I tell you what happened that night. We weren't a broken family. We were a quiet one. There's a difference. After the divorce, I made a decision. I was going to hold it together. No falling apart in front of Elena. No crying at the dinner table. No making her feel like she had to take care of me. She was 16 when her father left, and I refused to let her carry any of my weight on top of her own. So I smiled. I cooked. I asked about school. I kept the lights on. And Elena, she played along. She did her homework. She came to dinner. She answered my questions with just enough words to pass as conversation. We were both performing, and neither of us said anything about it. Looking back, I think that's what broke us quietly long before that night ever happened. I want to tell you about Marcus, because you need to know who he was before I tell you what he did to my life. He wasn't a stranger. We had known each other years ago, back when I was a completely different person. A person who laughed easily and stayed out late and believed that good things were coming. He found me again through a mutual friend. A message. Simple, careful. I heard you've been going through it. I just wanted to check in, that was it. That was all it took. Because nobody had checked in on me in so long that even those 12 words made my eyes sting. We started talking. Slowly at first, a few messages a day, then phone calls that stretched past midnight when Elena was asleep. He remembered things about me that I had almost forgotten about myself. He made me laugh in a way that felt unfamiliar, like a muscle I hadn't used in years. I told myself it was just friendship. And for a while, maybe it was. But then he asked if he could come over. Just dinner. Nothing serious. And I said yes. I didn't tell Elena. That was my first mistake. The night started perfectly. That's the part that still gets me. Marcus brought flowers, not roses, just sunflowers, because he remembered I hate anything that looks like it's trying too hard. We cooked together in the kitchen, music low, wine open, and for 2 hours I forgot about every hard thing. I forgot that I was tired. I forgot that the house felt too big. I forgot that upstairs, my daughter was sitting alone in her room thinking God knows what about God knows what. I just felt present, alive, like myself. We moved to the living room after dinner. The lights were low. We were talking, laughing. And at some point, without planning it, without deciding it, things shifted. And then I heard it. A sound. One single creak from the staircase. I knew exactly which step it was. The third one from the bottom. The one with the loose board that Elena and I had been meaning to fix for 2 years. The one we both knew to skip when we didn't want to be heard. My body stopped before my brain did. Marcus felt it, the way I went completely still and pulled back. He looked at me. I couldn't look at him. I looked at the stairs. She was standing there in her gray hoodie, overnight bag on her shoulder. Keys still in her hand. Sarah's plans had changed, apparently. Elena had texted me. I hadn't seen it. She was supposed to be gone. I don't know how long she had been standing there. I don't know exactly what she saw, but I know what her face looked like, and I have never been able to forget it. It wasn't the face of a child who is angry. It was the face of a child who is trying, in real time, to reorganize everything she thought she knew. She looked at me, then at Marcus, then back at me. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes went flat in a way I had never seen before. She was shutting down right in front of me, the way people do when they don't know what else to do with what they're feeling. Elena, she turned around and walked back up the stairs. No screaming, no slamming doors, just silence. And somehow that was so much worse. Marcus left. I barely remember it. I think I said something like, "I'll call you," and closed the door, and then just stood there in my own hallway alone, with the sound of her footsteps still echoing in my head. I sat at the bottom of the stairs for a long time. Then I walked up. Her light was on. I could see it under the door. I stood there for what felt like several minutes, my hand raised, not knocking, just listening. She wasn't crying. She wasn't on the phone. There was just quiet. I knocked. Nothing. Elena. My voice came out smaller than I wanted it to. Please. A long pause. Then the door opened. She didn't look at me. She walked straight to her bed, sat on the edge, and stared at her hands like they were something she was studying for the first time. I came in and sat across from her, in the old chair by the window, the one she used to curl up in when she was small and couldn't sleep. I said I was sorry. She didn't answer. I started to explain about Marcus, about who he was, about how it wasn't what she thought. It's not about him. Her voice was quiet, controlled, like she was choosing every word very carefully. I stopped. She looked up at me then. And what she said next, I have thought about it every day since. You looked happy, Mom. Just that. For words. But the way she said it, like it was a confession. Like she was admitting something that had cost her something to admit. You never look like that anymore, she said. Not since he left. I see you every day and you never look like that. Her voice cracked at the edges. I didn't know you were that sad. I didn't know. And that was the moment I understood. She wasn't standing at those stairs because she was upset about what she saw. She was standing at those stairs because she had just discovered that her mother had been quietly falling apart for 3 years, and she hadn't known. She hadn't been told. She had been kept out. She wasn't angry at me for having someone over. She was heartbroken that I had been drowning and had never once reached for her hand. We talked until 2 in the morning. Not the kind of talking we'd been doing for 3 years, the surface kind, the performing kind. Real talking. The kind where you say the things you've been folding up small and hiding in the back of your chest. I told her about the loneliness, about how the divorce hadn't just ended a marriage, it had ended the version of myself I had built my whole adult life. About how some days I moved through this house like a ghost, going through motions, waiting for something to feel real again. She listened. She didn't move. She just listened. And then she said something that gutted me completely. I thought you were okay. I thought you didn't need me. So I stayed out of your way. She had been protecting me the same way I had been protecting her. We had both been alone in the same house, both convinced the other one was fine, both too scared to say otherwise. I texted Marcus the next morning. Asterisk, I need some time. I'm sorry. Asterisk, he was kind about it. He understood, or said he did. And maybe someday that conversation continues. Maybe not. But what I knew, standing in my kitchen that morning, was that nothing about what happened with Marcus was as important as what happened on those stairs. Elena and I were not okay. We had not been okay for a long time, and neither of us had said it. The weeks after that night were uncomfortable in the way that honest things usually are. We were both getting used to a version of each other we hadn't seen before. A mother who admitted she was struggling. A daughter who stopped performing fine. We started cooking dinner together instead of eating separately. We started watching TV in the same room, actually talking about what we watched. Sunday mornings, we started taking drives. No destination, just driving. She told me things, real things, about her friends, about a boy she liked, about how scared she was about leaving for college, about how she had been afraid that if she left, I would have no one. She had been carrying that. This whole time, I hadn't known. Here is what I want to say to you directly before this ends. Protecting your children from your pain is not the same thing as being okay. And pretending to be strong is not the same thing as being strong. I thought I was shielding Elena. I thought keeping her out of my grief was the right thing, the loving thing. But what I actually did was disappear from her while still being in the room. And she felt that disappearance every single day, even if she didn't have words for it. She found out who I really was that night, not because of Marcus, not because of what she saw on that couch. She found out because she saw my face when I thought no one was watching. And the face she saw was a woman who had forgotten herself. I don't want to be that woman anymore. Elena leaves for college in 4 months. Last week she called me on a Tuesday afternoon for no reason. Just to talk. just to tell me about something funny that happened in class, and to ask how my day was, and to stay on the phone for 40 minutes doing nothing in particular. When she hung up, I stood in the kitchen and cried. Because that phone call, that ordinary, small, nothing phone call, is what I almost lost. That is what was standing on the stairs. And I almost let her walk back up without saying a word. If this story reached something in you, I want to hear from you. Drop it in the comments, not just your reaction, but your story. Because I don't think I'm the only one who has been pretending. And if you want to keep hearing stories like this, real ones, hard ones, the kind that don't end perfectly but end honestly, subscribe. Hit the bell. Stay with me. Thank you for being here.